wait a second, because I need to get the scores set up. We don't want to be loading in without these scores.
That's a nice point. I like that.
It is, isn't it? Nice attention to detail today. Okay, here we go.
Okay, and welcome back to Game 2 of this big semi-final clash between the Finnish stallion, that is Talisman, the vanquisher of Lovenest. He's up against the southern player in this case, which is Noggano's steadfast Soviet play. Noggano, of course, hailing from Russia himself. And it's again on Arnhem checkpoint. Tell me what your Hawkeyes see, Daniel.
Well, Talisman goes straight into the Ostrupen commander, and this is a sensible idea because Ostrupen come out on the field very quick. A chance he may be able to get some of the key buildings in this map for his MG that he's built as well. So instead, actually, it looks like he's maybe rushing that for fuel. So I'm not sure if he's... Where are they? Where are they? They're coming. They're not going for the fuel. That's the engineers. So the Ostrupen, I think, will probably go for some of the key buildings here. Noggano loaded in as the Soviets. Now, I was expecting him to play USF, if I was honest, considering how well he played against DevM earlier with USF. But you know, he's going to probably return that game, and maybe show us some more shock rifle.
Yeah, an Ostrupen in buildings is very powerful. They, of course, do get their increased rate of fire. Very much like British infantry in that sense.
Yeah, they're good. I mean, the one drawback of it is the off-map for this doctrine isn't particularly impressive. You know, it's very centered in one place. It's not like a loiter, you know, airstrafe, which could potentially, you know, fuel a lot of, you know, good pushes. Yeah, it's a little bit limited like that. It's a good early game, and you know, you have to just rely on the rest of Oster as kind of what the base faction is. That being said, you know, at the moment there's no better time really, I think, to do that with Oster. They're working very, very well currently.
It's a sacrifice. You get early game dominance if you can play your Ostrupen correctly. That's a price of having to rely on the core text tree and making yourself a little bit predictable. If your opponent realizes you've got tier 3, they know how to defend against you, and if they see that you haven't got any tanks, they know you're going tier 4. So you sacrifice a little bit of predictability in that sense.
Definitely. I think you probably expect tier 4 with Ostrupen as well, because especially when your opponent's Soviets, they do have potential access to the IS-2. You're going to want that Panther there.
In the one game that Lovenest took off Jove, in the 9 they have played in ESL, do you remember that game where you built, like, was it 6 tier 3 units as Ostrupen? Yeah. And we were going, oh, you always see tier 4 as Ostrupen, and then Lovenest built 3 Panzer IVs, 2 Stugs, and an Ostwind. It was pretty incredible from him. Although he's
really was, yeah. That was a great game.
Although he's no longer in this bigger tournament today, and we have Talisman to thank for that. So if you're one of those guys that comes in and out of the scene, and you're saying, Talisman, who the hell is Talisman? Talisman is a fantastic player. So is Noggano. Both of these guys are A standard caliber players, so you're seeing a massive clash of the Titans in this particular
I didn't
scenario.
quite catch, by the way, there was a squad that left the church, and Talisman just managed to get in there. It looked like he'd gone in and out for a kind of like a little bit of a bait, but in fact Talisman just stole it from him. And again, you know, this is what we expected from Ostrupen, is great early game map control.
And look at that, as you say, at 2 cut-off points neutralised, you've got the munitions cut-off there, you've got the fuel cut-off here, and Talisman's really making these Ostrupen work for him. And as we say, you can always count on Ostrupen.
You can, yeah. I think that should be the phrase. So you can sometimes count on Ostrupen. They are, yeah, as you say, like incredibly good units. But they have a purpose. I think the purpose lies in the early game, and then you really have to kind of carry out with something a bit stronger. I would hope that whatever tech we see, it comes out early enough to cover up for that, because the T70 can be brutal to this build. Absolutely brutal.
I mean, you do have the Faust from the Ostrupen, of course. But as you say, T70 would exploit this build quite a lot. You've also got 2 MG42s, which they are notoriously good against. So how quickly can Noggano get his T70 out is a big question in this scenario.
I think we're going to see that. I think we're going to see possibly that tier 3 come up in the next, you know, in the next 2 minutes or so, hopefully. Maybe even 3, considering he's low on fuel at the moment.
Of course, yes, absolutely. He does. If he is actually going to get a few Maxims in the meantime, not a bad decision. He's up against a high infantry presence from the Wehrmacht player, so Maxim's always a good answer. Of course, with Soviet play recently, Maxims have been pretty much the core units, but in this case, they are a situational and dynamic counter.
I think Noggano's doing the right thing right now. He's keeping the Ostrupen, you know, they're all trying to fight for the center. That's kind of like their focus right now.
Yes.
If the Ostrupen spread, they're weak, but he's doing the right thing. You know, he's capping around the map. He's now taking double fuel for himself, so that T70 is going to come a lot quicker than possibly we were expecting. Where are the engineers right now? Are they retreated back to base? They will probably start building that very, very soon.
Yes, one can only imagine. So right now, as Dan rightly said, the Ostrupen condensed in the centre haven't been as powerful as they want. But look at the cutoffs; they're so close to the centre. So if on Arnhem checkpoint you control the centre, you control the map.
The enemy has cut off a sector.
Well, he's managed to deny that left side, which is good, because that was the extra kind of fuel and munitions there. You know, that Noggano was kind of hedging on to get a strong tier 3 out early. But I really like that he's got the Maxim, I believe, covering the right strategic point, because that's so important as well to make sure that he does keep access to that. Trying to get into that tier 3 is what can carry you a really, really nice entrance into the
It can. And the 222 is going to be a real big factor here. We haven't seen anti-tank grenades popped up. We haven't seen tier 3 yet either, because Noggano doesn't quite think he has the fuel quite yet, seemingly. And the 222 is going to be a menace against him. MG42 is also doing work, helping him keep the centre, but flamethrowers have something to say about that, Dan.
Whoa!
What just happened?
Nice flamethrower burst wipes.
Oh, all of it?
Yeah.
Holy crap!
Yeah, I mean, they were low health. I don't think they retreated out of the building in good time, but the flame burst wiped all the units in the building. And, of course, he loses the MG as well.
Yes, of course. That's a double loss there, both the weapon and the unit. 260 manpower extinguished.
Better than in the hands of his enemy.
That's a good point, yes.
Because that would have gone to him as well. So, you know, you could call that a blessing in disguise. I think, honestly, Talisman might regret building this in game 2. You know...
Enemy forces are
I mean,
neutralizing
I've got to call about it. I've got to talk about it. Garrison-based maps have always classically been thought of in CoH2 as Allied favoured. If we see another Soviet win taking us to a decider game between these two stalwart competitors, it could only be further proof of that.
Yeah, it's very true. A difficult one. I mean, obviously, Ostrupen is supposed to kind of come around that a little bit.
Yes, a little bit. Yeah.
But it is risky, you know. It is risky when you've got, you know, the 6-man squads. They are weak. They have to be in those cover positions, which kind of limited Talisman to playing just purely central on the map. And whilst he did have a very, very good push on those strategic points, I mean, he's sitting next to Noggano's base. He didn't have the reinforcement half-track out at that point either, so there was no way he was going to be able to put that kind of pressure on, you know, to actually stay there. He just couldn't do it. If that had happened a little bit later on, then possibly, you know, would have been able to keep the pressure up. But, you know, it just didn't happen. It just seemed like bad timing there. Now, of course, he's pushed right back to his base, losing pretty much his important strategic cut-offs.
Yes,
and,
there's been a lot of trading in that sense, and you've got to put Noggano in the lead after getting rid of one of those MG42s overall, and he'll be sorely missing it with Talisman.
Yeah, I think he really will, and of course, early game triple cap, precisely what you want as well. Look at the VP starting to drain. 8 minutes in, you know, we were expecting to maybe take 200 VPs off in the first, you know, 10 minutes if you get a really good game. But you know, I think we'd be happy with like 150.
All the way down for 10 or 15 munitions rather, whatever flares cost. I think they're 10, aren't they? No, 10 munitions. It's on the door and it's ready to wipe an entire squad. 222 has been an interesting, only one kill, but it's done a little bit of work in harassing.
Yeah, that point you just made, you make a very, very good point here, and especially if Noggano spots that, which I imagine he will, that Flamethrower is the upgrade on the engineers right now. Mines will be going down everywhere, and there's nothing that's going to be able to sort that out. Squads are going to go down insanely quickly, and a little bit of a mistake.
Really are.
Maybe.
And the Soviet flamethrowers are doing great work, but of course he has a minesweeper of his own on the other one. Here comes T70, a little bit late, 9 minutes into the game, so not exactly a shock unit anymore, more of an expected counter, but I don't see much from Talisman to stop it doing its work.
Well, I really like that Talisman's still clawing back at the map control. We saw this last game. Let's not go too far. Because, you know, in the last game, Talisman was right back in his base and he provided a phenomenal comeback.
Oh, mine goes off. T70 on the rampage, pushing away this Pioneer. Oh, destroying it, dropping the flamethrower. Ostrupen possibly need to pick that up before the conscripts or the combat engineers get to it.
Do you know, I think that may work out in his favor if we look at this from a different perspective. Losing the flamethrower, I mean, he hasn't lost it, he can still pick it up, but you know, he should. He's going to run into another mine. Oh, this next Pioneer squad should be upgraded with Minesweeper now. We should see that happen instantly because he can't continue to lose squads like that. You know, it's just not effective in the slightest. So hopefully we see the Minesweepers up, we see some good pushes through the center. Otherwise, he's going to get manpower drained very, very heavily.
Panzer Strike coming on these Panzer Grenadiers, so he has got to counter the T-70 coming. He hasn't had to get the Pak 40, which would have been a very viable counter if he could micro around the garrisons effectively. Well, now he's going for Panzer Strikes instead.
Yeah, that seems to be the common thing at the moment. Panzer Strikes is first upgrade. Oh,
saying that, Dan, it's just popped the upgrade right now. The 222's on the hunt. Panzer Grenadiers are going to go east of the garrison, try and pick it off on retreat. Will the 222 get the shots required? A couple more required. Oh, autocannon on the rampage. 222 with a vehicle kill.
Great pickup from Talisman, and again, you never expect these things. Talisman is continuing to turn this game around in points where we really don't expect it, and it's nice. You know, his play is very creative, and he's a survivalist. He really is a survivalist, and he's quite clearly played from the back foot time after time after time again.
He really makes it
Oh,
work
tripwire flares just went off somewhere. There you go, middle building in the north.
Oh my god, we've had a full squad wipe on the doorway there. Look at all the rifles dropped. That is a full Ostroop and 6 rifles dropped for the cost of 10 munitions. Absolutely brutal.
300 points remaining.
Yeah, I mean, there you go. You see as well in the engineers that the Minesweeper upgrade is on. It's important though. He needs to get those.
He needs to get them working.
Yeah, he really does.
There's another tripwire on that door there that could also be a vanquishing element. The Maxim keeping the Ostrupin at bay. You've got the central ground held by the conscripts elsewhere. He's on the rampage in the west. This is really Noggano showing Talisman that he wants to take this to a deciding frame, and he may well just do that.
Yeah, and of course, keep your eye on the VPs this game. You've probably seen Noggano has been very, very careful to make sure that he's got VP dominance right now. Because in Game 3, he's going to want to play his favorite faction, and you know, it's 492 at the moment, so Talisman's got to do a lot of work even to just secure faction selection if he loses. And I think you'll expect to see Noggano very, very potently fighting for those points.
Scout car trying to get himself back into this game because he's currently lacking any territory sectors whatsoever. He's lost key squads to tripwire flares and also flamethrowers. Tank grenade goes in, he cannot afford to lose his 222. Will the Mosin Nagutfire take the kill? It will indeed.
Nice pickup.
Not going well for him as well, at all.
Well, at the same time, Noggano doesn't have the strongest of armies right now. You know, in fact, Talisman's on top of that more than anything else. It just depends how these units get played.
Yes.
There isn't going to be that much time left before some kind of tech comes out with a decent advantage, especially considering both 222 and T70 have come down. Both players, I think, have an opportunity to bring something out right now that gives them a substantial field advantage. It depends what that is.
They're possibly thinking of something more than Tier 3 right now because they've lost their light and medium vehicles. There's a lot of mines on the field, there's a lot of snares, there's, of course, a Zisgun as well. So, you know, it's food for thought for both players, and it seems like they're both going to linger in the infantry meta instead for a while.
I think it's probably down to Talisman to make the first move here because Noggano may decide with this amount of map control that he can comfortably sit for something like an IS-2.
Yes.
Maybe if he doesn't feel that way, then he'll go to Guard Motor or Lend-Lease and start utilising those kind of vehicles. It possibly even will go Lend-Lease, you know, if he's climbing up to 10 CP. But you know, Talisman will either take some map control back and force like a commander selection, or maybe even force Noggano to build another unit from his tier 3. That'd be nice to see, but I think Talisman has to make that move first, because if he stays on infantry alone, it's probably going to be the 10 CP falling game.
We're hearing the rat-a-tat-tat of the Maxims, keeping Talisman penned into the north, but he's managed to take vital garrisons, avoiding suppression, and it's all about trying to get this Ostrupin with the flamethrower into play, because that could really help him take control of the centre and again be in the ascendancy himself.
But know if I agree with the T70 from Noggano there.
Well, we'll soon see, because a T70 is one of those units, if used well, it can be a game changer, or you could just scupper it and lose it almost instantly. It's a very nice edge balance. Here it comes into the west, pushing away the Pioneers. The all-important Pioneers, of course, the amount of mines and tripwire flares on the map.
188 VPs left.
Against
15
492.
minutes. Yeah.
So if it stays this way, it would definitely be Noggano with VP control in the deciding frame.
Nice use of the T70 there to clear the minefield, taking pretty much no damage from that at all.
We are losing a sector.
Anti-infantry mines, of course, not that good against the light tank, and it's able to act as a minesweeper sometimes. One of those great synergizing elements to Company Heroes 2 that make it such a great game.
It's one of the sad things for the Oster, though, really, isn't it? Is that they have a minefield. Probably the only faction that has a minefield that can be cleared that way.
Yes.
You know, other ones you would risk losing
Well,
the vehicle, but the Oster one, you know.
I mean, remember when DevM lost that that rifleman earlier on Longoskaya, one of the very first games we cast. So S-Mines can be brutal as well. They're very. I love the balance of S-Mines, I've got to be honest. Oh, he's lost another squad to a tripwire flare, Dan.
Oh, no.
To a tripwire flare. That wasn't even a condensing situation like a doorway. That was just an open field situation. It got a full wipe there.
Yeah, I mean, those kind of things are really disheartening as well. But this is the thing, you know, he had minesweepers out on the field when he first hit that mine. He didn't. In fact, he's lost a lot of squads from doing that. He is still being risky getting into all these buildings and so on, because he just doesn't know. You don't know where those mines are. He is taking risks right now, and Noggano can just take advantage of that. It's going to be very difficult for him to get those Pioneers, you know, all over the field.
Yes, that one Pioneer squad, I mean, here it is right now. It's not even in position. It's got a hell of a lot of work to do. Oh, that's a newly built Pioneer squad, I think, or something? How is that? It must have got wiped at some point.
I'm not sure.
No, I'm imagining things. This Ostrip in here with the flamethrower needs to be in position. It needs to start doing work, because it's got the flamethrower for the Ost here. And Talisman needs it to be able to get rid of Maxims from garrisons and start working with him. Ostrip in a very important position here, Dan. They're in the central victory point. Can he get him below 492 victory points?
Panzer IV hits the field for Talisman. Be a bit of a threat for the T70 now. Remember, Noggano, fortunately, is actually saving up fuel, so I'm not sure. I have a feeling he may go for the IS-2 here. It seems like a safe choice.
Ost here.
Level is equally as good, though.
Yes.
On a map like this, would equally be.
He's got options. He's left himself a lot of options to go into the mid-game, and that's always a nice position to find yourself in.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a tipping point between having access to the incendiary that comes in shock rifle. So it's a nice way to clear the middle out when you're maybe pushing for some kind of aggressive assault.
Here comes the Panzer IV. First shot killing 2 men. Will the incendiary MG fire finish it off? It will not. The Panzer IV careers into the line of sight of that Zis gun. Here come the conscripts to give it an anti-tank grenade welcome onto Arnhem checkpoint. Oh god. Another MG nearly went down to flamethrower burst there.
Such a quick play from
Enemy
Noggano
forces
here.
are securing our territory.
Very, very on form at the moment.
Oh, massively. But then again, Talisman is as well, and as we saw in that first game, they look destined for a deciding frame, and it would have to be a major play from Talisman to change the course of history here.
The enemy is taking our territory.
Ostrip getting back into the situation. Unvetted Pioneers slowly repairing the Panzer IV, and every second counts for Talisman, because he's got 134 victory points remaining.
Yeah, this is not the position that you want to be in at 18 minutes. You know, this is usually the time when you start bringing on maybe your medium, even late game vehicles, depending on how the game's gone. In fact, Noggano is just more than confident to sit on his tier 3 build until he decides what to do. There's a lot to say for it, you know, the fact there is no commander pick at the moment. I don't even think Noggano feels that he needs to pick yet. You know, he hasn't been forced into that. He even knows what his opponent's commander is. So it's a pretty strong game for Noggano right now. I don't even think he needs to call anything in. He can probably win this without.
He probably doesn't, to be honest. He can probably just sit back and play as he is playing and hopefully win. I mean, I can't see Talisman getting much more than this Panzer IV, and he's already shown he can deal with that, and again he's showing it right now with that Zisk gun, and he can exit the garrison and throw another anti-tank grenade if they wanted. He's got so many options available to him. The T-70 is marauding, trying to keep him from capping victory points, and there you go. It was destined to cap the eastern victory point, now it's destined to die as the T-70 rampages.
I don't think there's any chance now of him stopping this triple cap. There's so much to deal with. The Ostrupen haven't really even managed to find all the cover positions when they're moving in, which is a huge thing to say because obviously it's where they're good.
Oh! That house has been the death house of Arnhem checkpoint. Panzer IV just went straight up against the window, shot through this big chasm it created, and there are the dead bodies in the house. Brutal from the Panzer IV there.
See, that's what we needed to see
earlier.
15 minutes ago.
Yeah, not when he was on 60 victory points and he was losing left, right and centre. Zisk gun again opens up against the Panzer IV. He's trying to find the western tip of the Maxim, but there's another Zisk waiting for it. They're going to reposition. They're going to keep it in position. Here comes the anti-tank grenade as well. Is he going to quarterback it? Yeah, he quarterbacks it into it.
That's an aggressive, a really aggressive play. Trying to get the position of that.
Oh, big long-range effort there.
Yeah, I mean, that was risky. Yeah, that looked like it was an end of game throw.
What's that white thing flying through the air? Oh, it's the towel he just threw in because there you go. We're heading to an ace game.
It's an air mattress.
Air mattress. I see. Oh, I like that. Okay.
Yeah, you see what I did there?
You are funny. They told me you were. I didn't believe them, but you know.
I barely believe it ever. Right, okay, so that puts us into an ace game, which yeah, I think Talisman made a huge mistake then with Ostrupen. I really do.
It just didn't work, did it?
No, I could see kind of what he was possibly, you know, like the potential.
We know the benefits of them, but it's how you play them, and he got countered with that flamethrower play.
Yeah, it also seems like that was a strategy from an old patch.
Yes,
you know,
it did seem that way.
We're not there anymore.
No.
So we need to, do you know what I mean, maybe investigate some other options. But that didn't work. That catastrophically didn't work. And now Noggano is left with a faction choice for Game 3, which is devastating for someone who just played such a phenomenal game in Game 1.
Yes. So he's back. They're now back to best of one territory pretty much, but unfortunately for him, it's like Nagano's won the coin toss and he's up against